Hey, brothers and sisters. I'm just coming out here to make a quick video. I just want to kind of give some advice. I recently had a sister who was kind of asking me questions that surrounded around marriage, and it just inspired me to make a video, um, giving maybe a little bit of giving some wisdom to sisters who are getting married. Um, yeah. So this is what I want to kind of tell sisters from my experience. Um, Before you get married, first recognize what your role is going to be. As the wife, you're going to be in the more submissive role than in a dominant role if you're having a godly marriage. God is not pleased with no domineering woman. No domineering person anyway. He loves compassion and kindness. But the authority is given to the man. It's not given to the woman in a Christian marriage. So be ready for that and what that entails. This is going to be a lot of sucking it up and a lot of trusting, not really trusting your husband so much, but trusting the God in him, if that makes sense, or trusting God operating through him. That's a better word. Um, be ready. Be ready to be able to deal with your own emotions. Because trust me, that's going to try to come up. The flesh is going to try to flare up big time over issues that aren't even that big of a deal. But even when you have conflict, when you have issues, you're supposed to be able to talk them out, and not talk them out with the intentions of getting that person or getting your husband to follow what you say. Now, you want him to follow what you say, but what's the way I should say this? With the intentions of him having no choice. There's some women where they get into an argument or a discussion with their husband, and their intention with that discussion is to make them follow what they say. If I explain it well enough, or if I maybe nag you enough, or if I do something enough, you will listen to me. That's not always going to happen. Don't go into marriage with that type of an attitude, because it's going to be miserable for you. It's going to be miserable for him. You have to be able to be flexible. Sometimes he's going to listen to what you have to say. Sometimes he's going to make up his mind and make his decision, and you're going to have to be ready to submit to that decision. So think like this. I don't care how wonderful, good, or whatever you think about your man. This is going to happen because he is his own individual person. He is his own individual person. And you got to realize that you're not perfect. Every idea and every thing that you want, that you feel like you need, that you feel like you have to have, is not going to be right. And it's not going to be what you really need and what you really want and all that stuff. And your husband is going to have his own mind. And sometimes he'll be wrong, sometimes he'll be right. As long as it's not a grave sin or something. And I mean direct sin. Then you shouldn't even really worry about that. Be ready to submit to your husband as the word says. Even to those scripture, if you read Peter, it speaks about women submitting to their husband even if he does not obey the word. So our job, when you're in that type of situation, your job is going to be to pray, to encourage, and to correct. Not to domineer, not to argue down, nag, and be riotous, with him. Oh, this is a little bit. I'm going to put this. Put this something else. I don't want his stuff on the floor. But yeah. I remember before I got married, I had to think to myself, in regards to marriage, what I'm really putting myself into. If you're getting married, don't put on your husband. Don't only think about what's so great about him, but also think about where his weaknesses may be. And you're going to have to deal with those weaknesses. I feel like there's so many women like to get a man, or they get married, or in a relationship, whatever. But I'm talking about married couples. Get married, and they only really want to accept the good parts of him, and they don't really accept the bad parts, and understand that they're really gonna have to deal with those bad parts as far as coping with it, and then praying and correcting it. Don't be that type of a person. You're living with another individual who has good parts about them just like you do, and has bad things about them just like you do. Don't ignore those bad things, or act as if they don't exist. Don't, because it's going to come up later in the relationship. Either accept him now or reject it. I know I had to think to myself in the relationship. I didn't know exactly. I was like, my husband almost seems like an angel, but I know better, because nobody's an angel. So what will I have to deal with? You know, and that's for people who don't already know what they don't like about their, the aspect you don't like about your spouse or the person you're courting. But you're going to find out eventually. How am I going to deal with the person? What if he's unbending to when I tell him, oh, I don't like that you do this? And he's like, well, that's just me. And doesn't care. Or it has a real issue and it's not easy for him to change. What are you going to do in that situation? I had to tell myself what I'm going to do, because I don't believe in divorce. I don't condone divorce and stuff like that. Is I'm going to have to be prayerful. I'm going to learn how to pray. You should already know how to pray, but you definitely going to have to learn how to pray then. And have a mindset of, I'm going to try to build him up rather than tear him down. Have that mindset to be an encouraging wife, to be a wife that builds her husband up, to be a wife that corrects her husband. Because being submitted to your husband and letting him be the authority does not mean not telling him the truth. You tell him the truth in love. You don't have to be nagging and all that other stuff, but you just tell the truth when it presents itself, or if y'all have a discussion or whatever. I don't agree with that, babe. Well, the word says this, babe. Do what you have the power to do what you want, but the word says this. Learn how to encourage and not just to bash. Don't do that, because that can lead to discouragement. Sometimes people feel like they just can't, they're not going to succeed, if they're overly discouraged. Remember, I was reading that actually in scripture. I'm going to find that where, I think it was Paul, usually always Paul if it's in the New Testament, speaking about, I think he was talking about correcting someone in sin or something, or being sorrowful for their sin, but basically not being overly sorrowful. Because when you're overly sorrowful, you don't, now I'm adding this, when you're overly sorrowful, you don't correct it, you just stay sorrowful and sad instead of correcting. So remember, the only reason you experience sorrow anyway is so you can correct whatever you did wrong. It's not so you can stay sorrowful about something. Yeah. So when you get married, or when you're about to get married, have that in your mind. Like the outside of my nose is itching. Sorry about that. But in your mind, you're going to have to think about the things that you will potentially go through and what you're willing to go through. To know, okay, am I ready for marriage, or what I need to get ready for? I had to do that with myself, like just thinking on, okay, what if he has problems in this area of his life or that area of his life? Whether it be, what if I find out that he has a drinking problem? What am I going to do? Even though I knew better than that, but I think of extreme stuff sometimes. Just to see where's my heart at when it comes to this man? Do I really love him? Or am I just getting with him because of some other reason? Let me tell you, if you love somebody, there's nothing they can do that makes you no longer love them. I'm talking about godly kind of love. Not no I'm attracted to you, just love. I'm talking about we about to get married, love. You know, if he raises his hand to hit me, would I still love this man, or would I be like just tolerant of him, sit there and take it, tolerance, or nah, I'm getting divorced. You can burn in hell for all I care. The hatred, you know, or will I have a love where, okay, I know my safety, I'm gonna leave, but I'm gonna pray for you regardless. I'm gonna constantly put your name before the Lord to save you. You know, think about those things, even if you're not in those type of situations. And I knew I wouldn't be in that type of situation because I knew my husband enough, but I would think about just all types of situations and be like, would I still love him, or how would I still love him through that? And this is, let me put a disclaimer on here. This is for couples, people who are getting married where your intention is no divorce. Because I don't believe in divorce. I don't believe divorce even exists in the spiritual realm. If that makes sense. Like, I believe that divorce is a deception. It makes you think you're not married to a person, and then you go on to commit adultery and marry somebody else, when in reality, divorcement is just a lawsuit. That's all it is. I didn't even know that until a divorcee had told me. It's actually, in legal terms, you're suing your partner for the time spent in the relationship, and for the separation of the items that you have, or the things concerning the kids, or the kids themselves. It's actually a lawsuit. And I was like, wow, I never thought of it like that. And that's literally what it is. It's just a lawsuit. So you're suing your spouse to get a divorce, and then within the law, you're able to remarry another, and then you could sue them, and then remarry another and sue them. It's just a legal thing. Divorce is really a legal issue. It's not spiritual. You know, so I don't condone it. I'm not for it. I know people get it, do what they want to do, but I'm not for it. And I had that mindset with my husband, like, okay, if I'm gonna walk this thing out and believe in not getting divorced, then I'm gonna have to be ready for some stuff. I don't know what I'll go through. You don't know what's gonna happen in the future. What if he in the future goes through something and it hits his faith, and he's like, he doesn't know if he believes in God. He doesn't know if he's following Christ anymore. He doesn't want to pray. He doesn't want to do anything. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to pray. I'm gonna have to choose to love my husband in that situation. And I'm gonna have to go through those things. It's not gonna be a situation as if I'm not gonna feel it. You know, acknowledge that too, how you're going to feel. And know, okay, I'm going to have to even pray concerning myself. Because I know I would feel if I found out, let's say something crazy, I found out he was talking to another female. I'm going to feel some type of way. But what do I need to remind myself to do? To love him. Even if it means loving from a distance, to love him. So... But I hate when people always say just love from a distance. You only do that in a time. You know, if he so chooses to change, I had to think about that too. If he did this and then he repents and asks for my forgiveness and asks for God's forgiveness, will I have a forgiving heart to forgive him and take him back? Or would I be in bitterness? I'm going to be ready to pray against bitterness. You know, I'm going to be ready to pray, to live a life that's prayed up, basically, when it comes to trusting him again, when it comes to this, that, and the other, you know, or treating him right, because I might feel a certain way. Unforgiveness might poke its head up. Bitterness might poke its head up. I'm going to have to be ready for that. You know, just before you get married, think about those types of things, just to see where your mind is when it comes to loving that person. You know, thank God I haven't had to go through any of those things in my marriage so far. We've made it a year, and he is a very, very good man. The only thing we argue about is food. I want to be vegan, and he wants to be black. So, okay, he wants his good food. He wants good cooking. And I'm like, no, I want the vegan. You know, I'll eat a wrap every day. And he's like, I'm not eating no wraps every day. You're going to have to cook something so something. And he's appreciative when I cook because of the effort, and I thank him for that. But that's the only thing we argue about. But I have to learn how to even be, how to act in that situation, you know. And I just thank the Lord that He put that in my heart before I got married. Think about these things. Think about if you're gonna have to be ready to love this person despite of. And even if they irritate you, the only thing is He just irritates me when it comes to that, because I really like vegan things, even though I stopped being vegan basically my whole pregnancy, and now I've eaten cheese and stuff like that, but I'm trying to go back to vegan, but slowly, because I want to get recipes in my better recipes in my repertoire. Is that the word? I don't know. And you know, in my mind. So but we've had actually a couple of arguments over that, and irritated me, and the Lord had to correct me. I remember one time we had an argument, and I felt like I was right, you know, like, and I might have been, but you have to learn how to let stuff go. Like, I felt like I was, that I want him to support me more in being vegan, and just encourage me more and all that stuff in being vegan, and just find some genuine interest in my veganism. And he's like, I'm not vegan, you are. You know, I'm not about to find interest. And I'm like, well, I try to find interest in things you do. You should find interest in the things that I do. Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, nah, that's you. All that veganism, that's just you. You know, he went vegetarian for a month to try to be supportive. But I was like, no, that's first of all, vegetarian's not vegan. And he was like, oh, nah, it's not for me. And man, we had an argument about that, and we've had multiple, and I have to learn how to suck it up. Like, okay, he may never want to be vegan. He may never care about cooking vegan meals. He may never cook you a vegan meal in his life, even though I think he has. But he may never care about it like that. Don't feel like he has to support you, or or you're gonna feel a certain way if he doesn't. You're gonna act a certain way if he doesn't. You can choose to still, treat him nicely. Be good. Be a good wife, in despite of. I recently just told him I'm going back to being vegan, and he's like, well, shoot, you gonna cook meat, and you gonna cook vegan food. You just eat the vegan food. And I'm like, last time we had a discussion, I was supposed to, if I was vegan, I was gonna only cook vegan food, and he was going to make the meats, because he wants somebody who didn't eat meat to cook meat, because it's probably not gonna come out right. And he's like, but I'm not getting no vegan stuff, so I'm gonna have to get all the vegan stuff. And I'm like, that's not fair. I'm about to cook for both of us, and then you're not even gonna get the vegan stuff I'll ask you to get. That's messed up. But I think he eventually changed his mind. But even if he doesn't, that's not gonna weigh upon me doing something good towards him. You want your meat, I have vegan. Okay, I'll make meals that encompasses both, where I can have a vegan meal out of it, and you can get a meat meal out of it, even if you don't go buy the vegan stuff. So you might go through this. That's just little annoying stuff, because I'm not even really vegan right now, but that's just to give an example of stuff you would go through in a marriage. Just annoying stuff, or even severe stuff. How are you going to act through it? What type of wife you're going to be through it? Think about that. Yeah. So I hope this was kind of helpful. I feel like I was kind of all over the place, which, I need to start editing these videos so I won't be all over the place, but I have a computer. I don't know why I don't use it. I guess it's just laziness. So, yeah, but y'all be blessed. I hope this was helpful. Y'all got something out of this. But yeah.